we're talking about a little rift between Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft.
They're trying to make into something to talk about.
I don't think it is because
I don't think there's much of a rift there.
Hey, I mean Robert Kraft. That quote about Lamar Jackson. I want to talk about that.
What did he say? Put up there what he said again. A rapper friend told Kraft that Lamar told him that he would be interested in playing for the Patriots. That doesn't say that Kraft said we're going to go out and get Lamar Jackson.
No, but he
said it's all Bill Belichick's decision.
Exactly, because he knows Bill Belichick won't make that move.
Yeah,
Belichick, I believe.
So
Belichick,
that means that Kraft is not counting on getting Lamar Jackson.
Well, Bill Belichick runs this team. I don't care what you say about Robert Kraft technically employs Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick runs that team.
I agree with that.
The only thing that Bill Belichick doesn't do is sign checks.
I do believe that Bill Belichick listens to what Kraft says. I do think that he runs the team and he makes his own decisions about it. But I do think that Bill Belichick runs the team. I do think that Bill Belichick didn't want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and I agree with that. Tom Brady and Kraft conspired to make that happen. And I don't think Belichick was happy about it.
I completely agree, and that was the report.
So in that case, he wasn't really totally running the team then. He wound up trading Jimmy G. He didn't really want to do that.
And that is really the only time Kraft has stepped into a decision that Bill Belichick probably would have made. And guess what? It got him 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl he completely screwed up. He got outcoached by Peterson, and he allowed Nick Foles to score 41 points. Tom Brady threw for 505. And Belichick didn't want to put in Malcolm Butler because the report is Matt Patricia got his feelings hurt in practice. And the way to discipline him was taking him out from a Super Bowl. The guy played 99% of your snaps at, I believe it was cornerback 1.
Yeah, well, there's something there that the whole story on that one has never been told.
It will never be released.
Never be told, and it never was.
But that's the biggest report
we've ever gotten. It will never be told, and we'll never know, but there is something there, I'm sure.
And I guarantee you, it falls down at the hands of Bill Belichick. He
runs the team, so yeah.
And Matt Patricia probably went to him, tears in his eyes that Malcolm Butler, probably hurt his feelings or something like that. Because Matt Patricia takes me as that guy to play that game, and in training,
maybe sometime when Patricia, if he leaves the Patriots, he'll say what happened.
I hope he does, but I want to ask this question: could we see a scenario where Bill Belichick is not the head coach of the New England Patriots, and I'm not saying that he retires, but instead Kraft says, "We don't want you here," and fires Bill Belichick?
Maybe it's possible. I guess if they won 3 games this year. There's a chance he could fire Bill Belichick. I don't think that's going to happen. Kraft says it's very important that we make the playoffs this year. And I'm sure Bill Belichick feels the same way. He wants to make the playoffs too. Right?
Yeah, no, I would assume so.
That's to make the playoffs. So, they have the same goal. They both want to make the playoffs. They want to have a winning team. So if they had a team that won 3 games next year, then I would say that Belichick could be in trouble. I mean, he's 70 years old, too. But I would say this as well. If Bill Belichick only won 3 games and he got fired, he'd immediately have 10 teams want to hire him.
I do think, but I honestly think Bill Belichick, he's a phenomenal defensive coach. And what he did with Tom Brady is the reason why people call him the greatest coach of all time. Outside of Tom Brady, he has a losing record. As a head coach, I believe he's 25-26.
No, 25-25.
Not including the playoff game. If we're including the playoff game, he's 25-26. And even in his own division, since Tom Brady left, he's 1-6 versus the Bills. The average loss is 16.6 points. His record versus the Dolphins, 2-4. And the only wins are at New England. So you said they've won in Miami a couple of times, not since 2020. They've lost every single time they were at Miami. Combined record in his own division with those 2 teams, the Jets have been an abomination. They've won every single game for the past, 11, 12 years?
Yeah, long time.
And they've been horrible quarterbacks. Against the 2 teams that have been somewhat respectable, he has a record of 3-10. And once again, I'm going to bring up this graphic once again. Those are his wide receiver draft picks. The talent he drafts for his quarterbacks, like Cam Newton, where they decide to take a swing with Mac Jones, with Bailey Zappi, even with Tom Brady. So most of those quarterbacks aren't even in the league.
Yeah.
Most of them are below on any depth chart.
Fortunately, they had some other very good receivers.
Correct, they did. But I guarantee you on other teams, they would be wide receiver 2s and 3s. Even his tight end position, he couldn't even get right. The most recent tight ends he signed, because Rob Gronkowski was the...
I understand he is looking at wide receivers now for this draft.
Well,
Quentin Johnson.
Hold on.
He's looking for Quentin Johnson.
I want to read the tight ends here. Ryan Izzo, back in 2021, he drafted it. Dalton Keene. I'm sorry, this was the 2018 draft, Ryan Izzo. In 2020, remember his 2 tight end draft picks? Do you remember their names at all?
One of them had a Assisi.
Devin Asiasi.
Asiasi, yeah.
He has 4 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. That's it, since 2020.
Yeah.
And in that same draft, Dalton Keene, 3 catches, 16 yards, no touchdowns. Belichick can't even get tight ends correctly. Any skill position that a quarterback-dependent position, Bill Belichick can't get right. I want to bring up what Tom Curran had to say. I believe, or do we do have that. Listen to this. I'm going to restart it for everyone at home. This is what Patriots insider Tom Curran had to say about the Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft relationship.
I see. Wary. And it's interesting because I watched them last week at the Devin McCourty retirement ceremony, sitting next to each other, and there was an embrace at the beginning. But when they get a microphone in front of them, they are putting their agendas out there in very specific ways. I mean, the non-committal verbiage around Mac, when you know that Robert is laying at your feet blame for Mac failing last year, is probably the biggest wishbone in all of this. So I think they're wary of each other, and they're kind of peeing on their territory.
So once again, that was Patriots insider Tom Curran talking about the relationship between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick, especially after that owners meeting that happened this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I could seriously see a situation where Bill Belichick doesn't even need to win only 3 games. I think if they miss the playoffs, because Robert Kraft, since Tom Brady left, has been saying we need to get back to winning football. We need to get back to the playoffs. He sent out a memo to his season ticket holders basically right after the season ended saying, we know we're a bad team. We're going to try to win. We're going to make it to the playoffs next year. If Belichick wins 7 games, and especially because right now you're saying they're looking at Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnson, I believe his name is, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Most mock drafts now have them, once again, and I predicted this, have them drafting a cornerback or a safety. Like, I think his name is Joey Porter Jr., I believe his name is. We're going to do our mock drafts about 2-3 weeks from now, right until the draft. If Bill Belichick does not sign a big name or trade for a big name receiver, something that actually helped their offense, not have a guy who got outbid by the Chiefs, who was their wide receiver 1 primarily. And by the way, I think the Patriots are fighting for the worst receiving core in the NFL right now. So if Bill Belichick goes into this season and we hear more rumors like we did last year of the offense being as stagnant as possible, I think Robert Kraft could seriously consider moving off Bill Belichick. I mean, we've seen phenomenal coaches get fired before. Jerry Jones fired Tom Landry. When he bought the team, said, Tom Landry, you're out. So, and Tom Landry was arguably the best coach in the NFL at that time. He
had some horrible seasons right before that, though. And
Bill Belichick has had some horrible seasons.
No, but he made some horrendous decisions, too.
Bill Belichick has made some horrendous decisions.
Not like those, though. And I remember that when Tom Landry was on the downswing, man. He had some very bad seasons.
But, I mean,
you look at the last 2 seasons, Nate. We've been over this before. There are games there where they were very close to winning those games, and there were mistakes made on the field that cost them the games, right? They easily could have been in the playoffs. They could have been in the playoffs last year. There were 3 games there that players made mistakes, the games that were very winnable, right?
But here's the thing, though. It wasn't it, and most of the time, it was the offense having to claw back from being down. And the
not
defense
down by much, though.
I mean, we're talking about the
not down by much. The defense played very well last year.
Not great, though.
They were top. They were right up there in the defensive rankings.
I'll bring it up right now for you. The 2022 New England Patriots had the number 8 offense, but that was primarily due to the
8 offense or defense.
Sorry, a total 8 defense.
Yeah, 8 defense. Because that's not bad.
They're 6th in rushing.
And what were they in points allowed?
Points allowed, they were 11th.
11th, not bad.
11th. So they're top third. They were a middle of the pack team in passing defense, and I told you because they have short guys who weigh about 180 when wet, who get bossed around. Just look at the Bengals game again. T. Higgins, I believe, or I think it's Tyler Boyd. I think he's 6'4", 230. I want to say. You look at how he just mossed. I believe it was Marcus Jones. Completely disrespected him. He's got cornerbacks 1. He got cornerback 1 and 2, who's like 5'10" and 5'8". I understand cornerback doesn't need to be an extremely tall position, but look at Sauce Gardner. Is he 6'2"? He weighs 210, I think. The guy's huge, and he's arguably the best corner in the league. You could debate between him and Pat Surtain. But on the offensive side, Belichick can't get it right. So now first of all, there was a report, we talked about the Boston Globe article. He signed his friend as what was it? Because he wanted to say, come back, here's your job, we got it for you. It was like an offer. It's like, hey, we love you. We love you, Matt Patricia. Come back. And then he gave Matt Patricia about 4 jobs. Some of which didn't make sense, like salary cap manager.
What is he doing now? What is Matt Patricia doing now? Does anyone know what his job is?
I think he's in limbo at the moment. I think he's deciding whether or not what to do with his NFL future. I haven't heard really anything about him.
Is he employed by the Patriots still?
I have no idea.
I think he is.
I think according to Patriots.com, he's still under the I guess what you call it, not the faculty, but the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think he's technically still there in Patriots.com. But Belichick, we got to be honest, without Tom Brady, he's looked like a mediocre head coach. I think it's not, I don't think it's as much of a hot take as it would be, because now we're seeing exactly that it was mostly Brady. It was mostly Brady in that franchise, because Belichick can't duplicate what he's been doing over the past 20 years. And him to come out in the owners' meeting and he was asked, why should fans be optimistic? He goes, the last 25 years. What do you mean the last 25 years with the greatest quarterback of all time? What about the last 3? You experimented with Cam Newton, you got Mac Jones, then you screwed Mac Jones. Because you hired a defensive coordinator who according to the report, when the Boston Globe said he scripted 10 passing plays in the playbook. I mean, you gotta be serious. Come on.
Well, that was a mistake. I clearly agree, and we'll see what happens this year. He did correct it by going out and getting a very credible guy.
I agree. I think Mac Jones should look better.
Yeah, so we'll see. And it looks like they're going to stick with Mac Jones. They're saying
Belichick says it's open feast. He said every quarterback will get a chance to play.
Well, but you know what? I think that's fair, right? You got to stimulate the competitive juices in people. If they think, hey, I've got this job locked up, they're not going to try as hard.
Mac Jones, Robert Kraft says Mac Jones has been in the facility almost every single day in the offseason.
Well, that's good. He's looking forward to the competition then.
I think Bill Belichick is so stubborn in his ways, and I don't understand. Is it because Mac Jones finally called out how bad the Patriots coaching staff was and Matt Patricia was, that all of a sudden Belichick became sour? Because the first year, Mac Jones had first of all, has the best, right now, currently, still has the best passer rating out of any quarterback in that 2021 draft class. Still, even with Trevor Lawrence being a top 5 quarterback last year. Mac Jones, and by the way, he had a higher peak than Bailey Zappi in each of those games. Bailey Zappi had a QBR of 34. Scale of 0 to 100. Takes account what defense you're playing and everything like that. So if we're talking about how good Bailey Zappi played, it was a simplistic game. There's a report out. It breaks down how the playbook runs. Simplistic game.
Well,
very, very simplistic.
Then it won't be tough for Mac Jones to beat him out in the preseason because there is going to be a competition. Belichick said so.
You drafted, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, that was the highest pick that Belichick put at a quarterback. So I don't think he's really drafted quarterbacks first round because he had Brady for 20 years. He went out, drafted Mac Jones. Mac Jones played great in his rookie year. And then he screws him over by signing a defensive coordinator as a little bit of a kind gesture to his old buddy. Saying, hey, take over an offense. We know you've been an offensive line coach. And you know what? Go back to that position as well. Call the offensive plays. Be the offensive line coach. Run the salary cap. And do something else. Do all these little errands for me as a little favor to me because I'm your buddy and you're my friend. And then he screwed Mac Jones over and then saying, yeah, open feast. Bailey Zappi, you could take this starting job away from Mac Jones. That's completely unfair. Completely unfair. I could seriously think Robert Kraft is fed up with Bill Belichick. I could see him moving on from.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.